partisan for the 250th by law. So, I mean, look, I come from a family of 9 kids. 4 of us are Democrats, 4 of us are Republicans, and I'm the only one that's kind of a fiscal conservative in the middle, but with moderate views. And I think if we learned anything from this last election, those borders, boxes, and boundaries don't exist anymore. I mean, look what Trump is doing for the next generation of voters, right? People didn't see that coming, where people thought millennials and post-millennials were going to be traditional kind of progressives. That's actually not the case. I mean, I know Chris can cite this better than I can, but I mean, the percentages of Trump's support for the 18 to 29 age category was phenomenal. And if you want to see the future, go talk to a millennial or post-millennial. That is absolutely the future.
So Chris, when you were co-manager of the Trump campaign, and you were there, obviously, for every big decision they made, a lot of those decisions that the campaign made under your leadership were counterintuitive or seemed counterintuitive, and then in hindsight were prescient and strokes of genius. One of the big ones was to adopt Bitcoin and crypto as a big platform for the campaign, which everyone didn't understand at the time. Kind of talk about the evolution of the president's thinking on the issue and how you looked at it as an electoral opportunity.
Well, thanks, and it's about knowing who your base is and who you need to attract and who you need to bring in. And clearly, on the Trump campaign, we made massive moves with Hispanics, with African American men, with suburban women, with younger voters, and it really is Bitcoin and the whole crypto movement really was a part of that, because it's such a wide swath of voters. It's not just one segment of the population, so it actually fit from a political perspective. Plus, I mean, there's no better definition in the 21st century for entrepreneurship and freedom and liberty than what you all represent. And so it fit perfectly. And of course, the president, he speaks to literally, and Brian can tell you, hundreds of people every week from all walks of life, and he really takes in their advice and their counsel, and that's how he comes to the information in order to make decisions. Obviously, we have a lot of great friends. David Bailey, one of the first people that we met with, and I remember the meeting in New York with the president, and really getting an understanding of what it represents and how to make the use of it. But really, it's a welcoming. I think with a lot of the legislation that's moving now, you see that you actually have a friend. You actually have a partner that will help grow, that provides that degree of legitimacy, that provides the clarity for the market. These are things that they're obviously very important for any industry, but taken in a political context, it just was one of those things that matched up perfectly with what the president's vision was. And of course, you guys were a big part of that and very supportive on so many different levels. But knowing that you have a friend in the White House, knowing that you have, I know Bo Hines will be here a little later today, our true friend who's moving a lot of this stuff for the industry. And again, it's a great partnership. And why shouldn't America be the leader? Why shouldn't we be? We always have been. And so now we have a president who recognizes that, wants to make that a reality, and you guys are very, very much a part of making it happen.
Whoa! Yeah!
Hey, Brian, one of the things that we did at Coinbase to try to activate the crypto voter was to create this thing called Stand with Crypto, which has now reached about 2.3 million advocates around the country. For those of you who haven't signed up, I would encourage you to go to standwithcrypto.org and sign up and be heard. But as a member of Congress, there's still a lot of your colleagues who are not with the program and are voting against crypto just reflexively. how important is it for everybody here to make their voice heard, talk to the member of Congress, stand up and sign up to the grassroots organizations, and talk to people like your colleagues so that they understand why this is an important issue?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to say as it relates to Stand With Crypto, I can't speak more highly enough about the team that is within Stand With Crypto. Nick Carr's been fantastic for me. Everyone at Coinbase, obviously from Brian all the way down, Kara, Paul. But I say that because, I mean, really, as I alluded to before, I mean, every member of Congress has hundreds of issues thrown their way every single day. But I think what Stand With Crypto did such a good job. First off, you chase votes. I mean, I got a text message. I'm Georgia, so I'm in a swing state, but I probably got 30 or 40 elements of outreach, whether it be text, email, phone call, all through Stand With Crypto, that reminded me just how many people within my district care about these issues. And really, I think what you have with Congress right now, we passed the one big beautiful bill in the House. We'll see what happens with the Senate. Hopefully, we're able to, fulfill the president's goal of having this signed into law by Independence Day. But that gives us another 75% of this Congress in which we're going to want to make history, and making history with respect to creating, stablecoin legislation, creating the framework that we all need to enable the entrepreneurial spirit Chris alluded to thrive. That's something we can accomplish as Congress, but motivating members of Congress always comes from the ground up. It comes from the grassroots, and you have 2.3 million, but it's probably much more if you think about people that want to see America continue to lead the world in every element of society, every element of business and industry. This is where we're looking to do so. But I'll also just note, as it relates to a role that you mentioned earlier, I'm also the deputy chairman of the NRCC, so I'm the number 2 guy responsible for retaining the House majority for Republicans. And one of the things we need to be able to sell victories and wins back home in 2026 in order to continue this Republican majority, to continue to enact President Trump's agenda. And by having the partnership you have in the White House, any politician's priority is where he or she spends their time. Look how many people from the administration are here before you. Look how many people who are instrumental in Congress. You've got our great majority whip, Tom Emmer. You've got Brian Stile, who chairs the subcommittee of jurisdiction through which all legislation will flow. You've got Byron Donalds, who's going to go on to probably bigger and better things. So you've got really good representation. You have the senators here that just talked about the Bitcoin Act. So you've got a lot of people here that are going to help play a leading role in this space, but it's really incumbent upon everybody in this room and everybody that's watching. You've got to reach out to your members of Congress, make sure they feel that support back home. 2.4 million, in my mind, is reflective of a movement that's only going to continue to grow as long as you continue to engage. So thank you.
Yeah!
And I want to follow up with that. This could very well be one of the most consequential Congress bodies we've ever had in our history. The engagement has been incredible. In fact, we have formed the largest congressional caucus right now. We're 297 members of our America 250 Congressional Caucus. We're actually on track to be the largest congressional caucus in the history of our country. And it's almost split equitably between Democrats and Republicans. People want this to happen. And I want to go on one other point that you mentioned, Congressman, which is the global nature of what we're talking about. This isn't just about the U.S. This is about celebrating being the oldest democracy in the world and what that represents moving forward. So, think about what's happening in 2026, by the way. It's also the World Cup, right? Mostly in the U.S. And 2 short years later is the LA Olympics. You're going to have billions of people watching the U.S. in 2 very short years. And so the eyes of the world are watching. We are setting the tone for what happens, not just in our history, but for the future. And for all of us, again, this is about the American dream. This is about, again, the values in which our country was founded, was those liberties that Chris mentioned. But the pursuit of the American dream, when people ask me all the time, how do you know you're going to be successful in 2026? My answer is the same. I want as many Americans as possible to feel like this is the land of opportunity all over again. And for Bitcoin and blockchain in general, whoever creates that dominant digital infrastructure will set the tone for the whole global financial system, and it starts here, literally, at this conference, with this leadership, with this president moving forward.
Come back to you guys to finish this up. Just quickly, Chris, you're already advising a number of candidates in the next cycle Is Bitcoin and crypto coming up as a campaign issue and a campaign opportunity for them?
Well, for the people that I work for, yes, you know, because it is, we've made in just a very short period of time so much progress, and we've moved fast. You know, President Trump's in a hurry, and you know, the first 100 days was marked by a level of activity I don't think people have seen coming out of Washington in an awful long time. And the next 100 days, of course, we're you know a third way into that already, and we want to hold and we want to build on the gains that we've made, and we can't literally go back. And you know, by codifying a lot of the things that we want to accomplish, we can't do it unless we have the help in the House and in the Senate. And of course, most of my time is spent advising the president's outside political operation, and obviously the entire goal there is increasing the House and increasing the Senate. Because if we lose the House, you know, I can't tell you what the next 2 years are going to look like. So our focus has got to be really on moving the ball forward and building on those gains. It's the single most important thing that we can do. And everyone in this room, everyone out in the hallway, everyone here has a key role to play. Midterm elections don't generate the level of activity or turnout than, say, a presidential race does. But we know our people are out there, and so it's incumbent on all of us to ensure that they show up. And so Stand with Crypto and you know, all of the support that we now have, this very energized and activated customer base really will set the tone, and it'll put us where we need to be, which is at the forefront. And because, again, as I said earlier, why shouldn't America be leading the way on this, especially in the 250th anniversary of our great country? So, but again, it's shaping up to be, I would say, probably one of the top 5 issues that we'll be debating in the midterms. And the great thing about that is we also have an educational aspect to the message, because there's a lot of people out there who don't understand, and so we need to take advantage of that opportunity, educate the voters, because it's a very simple message to sell, and one that the vast majority, overwhelming numbers of Americans would agree with.
Amazing. So just one thing, at Coinbase, we're committed to take Stand with Crypto up to 4 million advocates by the time of the 26th election. Rose, we only have a couple of seconds left. How can people find out more about the second centennial?
There's something for everyone on our website, american250.org. We're going to have student competitions. We're going to have the ability to nominate whose story you think should be preserved in perpetuity at the Library of Congress. We have many more anniversaries coming up. Post Office in July. We have the Navy in October. We have the Marines in November. So many things to look forward to, and big, fabulous moments we will share very, very soon, maybe even on July 4th. Those amazing moments that are yet to come. But I want to just end by saying, look, it is a public-private partnership across the board. You have representation here that I think, you know, these are leaders. These aren't folks who are just kind of talking. They're actually walking the walk together. We're doing all of this together. So much more to look forward to. And again, thank you to all of you for what you have done to put this president in office, but more importantly, what we can do to inspire the next generation of leadership for the future.
Amazing. Thank you all.
Thank you.